Ye-
Welcome to MMA Fancast. My name is Luke Pace, and welcome back to everyone who's already a subscriber to the YouTube channel. If you're not already a subscriber, please subscribe so you can see more great interviews, including the one coming at you right now. First time guest on the show. He's an undefeated amateur 4-0 prospect. And I'm super excited to have him on the show. What's very exciting about him is he is coming out of the great state of North Carolina from BattleBorn BJJ and MMA. I've had his head coach, Kelly Edinson, on the show before, but I'm very excited to have first-time guest of the show, Julian
Yay.
Happy
Yes, sir.
Nieto. Julian, welcome to the show.
What's up, Luke? Yes, sir.
It's great to have you on the show. We've got a lot to talk about. You have two
Yes,
fights
sir.
coming up. One fight you have coming up in 4 days, but we're going to back up just a little bit because it's your first time on the show.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your sports background prior to martial arts or MMA.
Yeah, my first love was just straight up boxing, just straight up hands, dude. I just love that, dude. And I went to a little gym called Trifecta, but they closed down not too long ago. And then that's when I was like, let me try kickboxing. And then let me try BJJ. And then MMA, let's put it all together.
Well,
Yeah,
in
dude.
my introduction, Julian, I did forget to say that you just had a birthday 2 days ago.
Uh-huh.
So happy
Yes,
belated
sir.
20th
Appreciate you.
birthday. So you've done
Yes, sir.
all of this as a teenager prior to now. You made your amateur MMA debut in June of 2023. So very, very exciting. How long
Thank
were
you.
you training at BattleBorn BJJ and MMA prior to taking your first fight?
Ooh, I'd say about a year, a little less. Yeah. I started at 17, and as soon as I turned 18, I wanted to get in there.
Well, it has
Yeah.
been working out well for you.
Yes,
And
sir.
I can see why your fight nickname is Happy. It's a fun interview so far. You're very
Thank you.
energetic, a lot of fun to interview. You said you started with boxing and then obviously
Yes,
that
sir.
became kickboxing. What was it like to jump into the deep end of BJJ? Your head coach is a legend in
Yes, sir.
BJJ, won a lot of high level fights in at the pro level and the best level of MMA by jiu-jitsu. So what was it like transitioning from boxing, kickboxing, stand up to the jiu-jitsu wrestling side?
It was awesome, dude. I was just very, very, very blessed because Bonesaw had like no like she wanted to fight at 115 for pro, and it's like there was no like small people, and I'm a small dude, so it's like I just got to learn from the very best, like straight up right there. And I used to just show up extra early to the gym, dude, and drill with Bonesaw dude for an hour, and then get straight to the Coach Kelly classes, dude. And it was just easy. It was simple. I just showed up, worked really hard, dude. Boom.
Well, I've
Yes,
had
sir.
Wendy on the show a bunch of times. You're referring to her, of course.
Yes,
And,
sir.
sparring partners do make a big difference. I'm sure
Oh yeah.
she made a big difference for you and your experience level because she's obviously very experienced and a pro
We
fighter, but also really gave you a lot of opportunity to grow and develop. So before we get to the fights to come, what has
oh
been fun about your four amateur wins so far? What stands out from those four fights to date?
oh dude. Stand out. I really do like. I'm gonna just go straight to the last one and for fight for it, dude. It was just kind of weird because I had to sit right next to my opponent, like in the same locker room, kind of 6 fights before. Then we went to our own little private locker room, but my opponent was just right there, like 3 seats over, dude. That was just a little memorable thing. I just for like 12 hours we were just sitting there and just feeling the freaking vibes, dude. Yeah.
Well, that's a lot for you to experience. I'm glad though, because one of the things people don't get to see when they just come to fights is how some of the behind the scenes can be a
Yeah.
little unusual. And credit to you at 19 years old at the time for staying focused on the fight
Yes,
to
sir.
come and not getting too thrown off by that. So
Yeah,
obviously a big congratulations to you getting
it was a funky
that win
time.
over Sebastian, who was the most experienced fighter
Yes,
to
sir.
point at the time.
Very tough. Very tough. I love that guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I think it's one of the things in fighting that people don't always understand is that you actually want your opponent to have a great career after you
Yes,
beat them
sir.
because
Yes, sir.
it helps them, but it also helps your record look even better the better they do in the future,
Us, dude.
which is pretty great. Now let's talk
Yeah.
about your fight. Right before we started this interview, I found out the exciting news that you are 4 days away from an unexpected fight, last minute fight coming up this Saturday, 4 days away. You're bumping up in weight class from your typical 125 flyweight to bantamweight 135. You're going to be going over and fighting at for Showcase Showcase MMA in North Carolina. And,
Yes, sir.
Yep. And obviously it's this Saturday. So what made you say yes to a fight on short notice up a weight class?
The very main reason was just the weight class, the weight cut, dude. Come on, man. Easy peasy. Just show up and fight. I'll do it. Yeah. And then coach is just awesome with offering me fights. I had to take off like the whole year last year. So I just want to keep the ball rolling. You know what I mean? I'm in the gym like it's like fight camp throughout the whole year now, dude. So I just want to kind of get in there. Itching for it. Yeah, dude.
Well, I know you're excited about that fight coming up Saturday. For you, what makes this fight for you Saturday a success? You get in there, you get a win, and you keep developing. Like, what are you looking for to accomplish this Saturday?
I just kind of want to get in there, get out. You know what I mean? Hopefully, I can get a little quick finish. I've been yeah, I just want to kind of get in there, get out, go straight to Florida, snatch a little belt, boom. Yeah.
Yes, well, that's why
No
you're
warm up.
actually on the show. It was unexpected for your short notice fight coming up this Saturday, but your big fight, the fight that you were on to talk about, is your title fight for Impact Fight League down there in Florida. You just mentioned it. It's going to be Saturday, February 8th, so we're just under a month away. That is at the 125-pound flyweight. You're fighting a very tough guy. And what are your thoughts on that belt opportunity for Impact Fight League?
I'm very, very, very excited. I haven't fought for no belt, you know what I mean? So this is pretty cool, and he looks like a very tough guy, you know what I mean? I'm gonna have to sprawl a lot, and he throws hands too, but I'm more ready for that wrestling, you know what I mean? I feel confident on the feet, Yeah.
So
I'm excited. 5 rounds.
do you tend to use your wrestling to stay vertical and continue to throw hands, or do you tend to try to figure it out on the ground as well with your BJJ skills from BattleBorn?
Ooh, so I guess it would just depend on the opponent, but usually I want to throw the hands, I want to throw the feet, you know what I mean? I want to just keep it standing. Don't mind sprawling a little bit either, yeah.
Well, that's a classic MMA style called wrestling in
Yes, sir.
reverse. When you want to use your wrestling and your grappling and defense to stay up. I believe you were talking about the number of rounds. How many rounds are in that title fight on February 8th?
5 rounds, but 3 minutes. We do like 5 minute rounds like for like an hour and a half at the gym. So this should be pretty smooth. It should be pretty smooth.
That shouldn't be much of a surprise. I mean, that's a lot of rounds, but your
Yeah,
coach
it is.
is one of the best coaches around. And I've had him on to talk about his career in MMA and as a coach. And people really need to go back and find that Coach Kelly interview that we did a couple years ago when he talked about moving from Vegas to where you guys are now in North Carolina. So what do you think has been the most important thing you've learned from either Bonesaw Wendy or Coach Kelly himself as far as your development goes?
Honestly, just like staying locked in. Like he really just told me like taking like a week off, like that really messes with you. You know what I mean? You kind of got to stay locked in and keep on improving and improving and improving. No steps backwards. You know what I mean? And so
Sure.
that's just what I've been doing. Just been showing up every single day, dude, working hard, learning something new.
Well, you clearly look like the type of guy that really loves the process. And we
Yes,
always
sir.
talk about that, whether it be the journey of learning a sport or learning anything new or even mental health journey or whatever. It's to enjoy the journey, right? As long as you
Heck
keep
yeah.
showing up and loving learning and loving the grind and loving the hard work that you guys
Dang.
put in every day, you're going to do great things. Let's
Awesome.
get to your prediction. Do you want to make a prediction for the title fight? Is there something that you really want to accomplish? I don't know if most people know this, but for an amateur fight to go 15 minutes, that's a big deal. A lot of times I do most of my MMA commentating in the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and amateurs only fight 3-3s, even if it's for belts. So to
Yeah.
fight 3-5s is a big deal. That's a pro
Yes,
level
sir.
fight because the average pro fight is 15 minutes, just
Yeah.
3-5s as opposed to 5-3. So talk about that.
Yeah. I'm excited for the experience more. For prediction, I don't really like doing those, but like every time, just round one KO, please. I hope so. You know what I mean? I pray for it. But yeah, dude. What was the question again? Sorry.
Well, what are you looking for? You mentioned that you don't do predictions, but you would love to
Yeah.
get around one KO. But do you think the 15-minute potential, of course, if you
Yeah.
finish it in round one, you don't have to worry about that. And obviously you have the cardio and the conditioning, but do you
Yes,
think it's
sir.
important to really be able to
Yeah.
fight the 15 minutes if need be?
Yes, sir. I'm like stupid excited for the experience. I really want to get in there for like a while. I want to see what it feels like to just like stay in that little zone for those full 15 minutes with like a real dude trying to take my head off. You know what I mean? I'm very, very excited for 5 rounds. I've like I said, I did the 5 rounds 5 minute rounds over here at BattleBorn, but like with the crowd, you know what I mean? I'm excited for that. Yes, sir. Real
Well, and
fight.
one thing that comes up when we talk about endurance and cardio and speed in a fight is you are
Mm.
fighting at least for the title fight, and most of your fights are at 125
Yep.
flyweight, although your last minute fight coming up this Saturday's at bantamweight. Talk about the speed. You know, one of the exciting
Yeah.
parts I think of Mighty Mouse, the best 125er ever, at that weight class. What are your thoughts on what you bring to the table as far as athleticism and speed? Because 125 pounds, 130, 135
Yeah.
pounds. It's all about that speed and endurance.
Yeah, well, I've been, like I said before, I've been throwing these hands for like a really long time, you know what I mean? Even though, like, before I was with Coach Kelly, there wasn't too much technique behind the hands, but I've been throwing them, you know what I mean? The speed's been picking up. I feel pretty confident that I might be a little faster than most of these guys, you know what I mean? Yeah, dude. And then I also work the head movement with the speed, dude. Yeah.
I love your enthusiasm. And I do think a lot of people forget that there's an art of not getting hit just as much as there's the art of hitting. So, talk a little bit about what you were talking about being more elusive and working on and working on your head movement and things like that. Do you
Yeah.
think that's been developing?
Yeah, well, honestly, I love the pocket, but also, you know what I mean? I'm smart enough to know that getting hit isn't, the best. So I like being in the pocket. I like the full action, but I also like to move my head, you know what I mean? I've been getting really, really nasty at moving my head while also staying still in there, you know what I mean? Yeah, I just love the action, but I don't want to get hit too much. Yeah,
Well,
dude.
that finding that balance is really important because
Yeah.
although a lot of MMA fans love to watch the two Rock'em Sock'em robots, that's not good for your longevity. It's much better to be elusive and to be very pinpoint accurate. Now we're going up in weight class, but the legend, the Spider Anderson, the Spider Silva, was a
Ah,
very elusive, hard to hit opponent.
yep.
Even though he fought up in much higher weight class, I think that is the type of fight that you can really
Yeah.
excel in.
Yes, sir.
For you, what would be, and not so much MMA, but maybe if you did a BJJ tournament or something, what would be a like a once in a lifetime or an ideal dream submission to land? Would it be like some crazy omoplata, bow and arrow choke? Like what would be a Kelly Edinson ideal taught, learned submission that you would love to pull up? Maybe a Von Prue choke, something like that. What would be nuts for you to land in
Yeah.
a jiu-jitsu environment?
Honestly, I don't know the real name. We call it, or Coach Kelly calls it, the Howdy Duty choke, dude. It's kind
Okay.
of like a head and arm, dude, but it's like the other way. Yeah, dude.
Okay, great.
Yeah, the
I
Howdy Duty
hope
choke. I
you
want to
hit.
hit it one day.
Listen, I hope you hit how to do the choke. There's a submission. It's sort of a modified Kimura, I believe, called the Mr. Wonderful because Mr. Wonderful hit it in a UFC fight. I don't think it had been named before that, and Joe Rogan called it Mr. Wonderful. So listen, if you ever win by a howdy doody choke, whatever that is, make sure you give it a name when they ask you what it's called. Say,
I want to
well,
give
according
it
to
to
Coach Kelly, that's the howdy doody choke. So it's definitely one of my most fun names. How to Duty
him.
is pretty great. So for you, what is the confidence level you put in to the people that make the walk with you, your corner, particularly Coach Kelly, whoever else is in your corner. And what are your thoughts on having their support?
Yeah, just stupid confidence because these are guys that just beat me up every day. You know what I mean? So it's like I just got guys that are like a little better than me. You know what I mean? I'm getting there, and I just know Coach Kelly is like a top tier veteran, dude. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's talking about. I just like listen to that guy. He's awesome. Yes,
And
sir.
that is a great attitude to have. You always want to be humble
Uh-huh.
and have a very learner's mindset.
Oh yeah.
I'd love to hear, having done the coaching side in the
Sure.
corner myself. What is it like for you mentally when you're on the stool or maybe standing and you're listening to and talking to Coach Kelly? How good are you at taking a new game plan or implementing a change of plans or even just kind of, mentally between the rounds? Because some of your fights have gone more
Yeah.
than one round, kind of taking the fight as it comes.
Yeah. Honestly, it hasn't been too tough because usually the game plan is if I get taken down, stand back up and keep it with the striking. And it only really got rough this last fight. And yeah, I just listen to Coach Kelly, dude. He doesn't really switch it up on me too crazy. He likes to let me have my little fun sometimes, dude. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's awesome. I love listening to him.
Well, that's good. Well,
Yes,
that
sir.
and that is true. A lot of times, hats off to your attitude and your
Heck
your
yeah.
mindset to listening to Coach Kelly, but also a lot of times that's a good strategy that there might be a little tweaks to do
Mhm.
in the corner, but sometimes it's just a matter of giving some feedback and some things like
Yes,
that. It doesn't
sir.
have to be a huge game plan. Well, I can't wait to see what happens. We've covered two upcoming fights. The fight
Yes,
you have
sir.
sort of last minute this Saturday, the fight coming up in Florida, the title fight, which is very exciting for Impact Fight League. And I know of at least one more fight that's hopeful for
Yes,
March.
sir.
It's not officially matched
Yes,
yet, so I
sir.
have to have you back on to both
Heck
talk
yeah.
about these two fights that you have coming up and also future fights. It's one of the exciting things about you being brand new to my channel is the fact that you are so busy. We've just covered two fights, and there very well might be a third in the next
Yes.
couple months. So I
Yes,
can't
sir.
wait to see what happens going forward to you.
Thank
It's
you.
always my honor, and it's been really
Oh, thank
a
you.
blessing to me to be able to follow the BattleBorn
Mhm.
BJJ MMA team a little bit with Wendy and your coach, and now with you. So I really appreciate you coming on. Can't wait to
I
see. For people
appreciate
that
you.
don't know your name now is the time to
Yes.
learn the wonderful name of Julian Happy Naito. Can't wait to see kind of your continued development. I really appreciate you
Thank
coming
you,
on
Luke.
to talk to me tonight. It's just been wonderful to have you on. My name is Luke Basin.
Yes,
As
sir.
always, please subscribe to YouTube channel so you continue to see great interviews. And thank you to my first time guest of hopefully many more times to come,
Yes, sir.
Julian Happy Naito. Thanks so much for coming on the show.